Dillon Danis is about to shock the world.
He's trying to get
KSI versus Dillon Danis is going down pretty soon, with the clear favorite in this one being KSI, as people are going as far as to say that Dillon will pull out and not make it to the fight.
I just have my doubts at this fight.
Why?
You didn't show up to the press conference.
Yeah, because both fuck them.
You would think that you would want to sell the fight.
I got a feeling that Dillon Danis is not going to show up. He's a troll.
But what if Dillon surprises everyone? Dillon has been calling out Jake Paul to box him since 2018 and is notorious for training with Conor McGregor, one of the best and most creative strikers in UFC history. Dillon is a specialist in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and has a 2-0 MMA record, having both fights in Bellator, but seeing the amount of buzz and money influencers have made from boxing, he knew he could get a slice of the pie by securing a fight against one of them. This means the striking has at least been in his mind for all this time, and with all that talk he's dished out to the likes of Jake Paul, Logan Paul, and now KSI, Dillon has likely been prioritizing his striking and boxing training more and more over the last couple of years. It's also important to consider, however, the knee injury that Dillon Danis was facing in 2019, where he did have to get 2 pretty serious surgeries, which he only fully recovered from somewhere in the last year. This obviously prevented Dillon from training in boxing or any martial art for that matter, but he has still been watching all of these events from afar and is finally making his way into the ring against KSI after about 4 years of non-stop trolling. With all this being said, however, let's see how KSI and Dillon Danis match up on paper. KSI and Dillon are around the same height and weight, and an interesting note is that this will be the first southpaw KSI has fought in his career. Sometimes orthodox fighters can really be challenged against fighters of the opposite stance, as of course the majority of their training is against fellow orthodox fighters, and they would be less prepared against southpaws. A great example is the recent fight between Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk, where Usyk was able to nullify AJ with his tricky angles, movements, and stance. Of course, being a southpaw wasn't the deciding factor in that, but AJ has consistently admitted to southpaws being a nightmare for him to deal with.
I am the nightmare. KSI!
Along with being a southpaw, while Dillon isn't necessarily a combat sports veteran as he's only had 2 professional fights, he is still a fighter and has been around the highest level of combat sports training camps with access to high-level coaching and training, similar to KSI. But taking a look at Dillon's old boxing footage, it is clear to see that he's a fairly sloppy boxer with a lazy and rigid style where he tries to rough up his opponents. As seen in this spar with pro boxer Paul Bamba, Dillon is seen to have his greatest success in clinching exchanges where his grappling could be advantageous for him in the boxing ring. This is something KSI has yet to deal with in his boxing career, as even though in his fights with Logan Paul, Logan exchanged in several clinching positions, but Logan wasn't really able to do anything with them. And KSI was actually winning the exchanges on the inside with his pressure heavy and more active style.
There again. So, and then that's when he clinches. So whenever shit got hot, this motherfucker clinched. He clinched to save his fucking life.
However, in new footage of Dillon, he looks a bit more smooth in his approach than he has before, with clearly defined offensive skills, but he's not necessarily putting his all into these punches with speed, power, or snap that we've seen from KSI. But there is a pretty big takeaway that some people may not be seeing. Dillon looks to be hunting the body of his opponents, which could expose his game plan for his upcoming fight against KSI to tire and wear him down over the course of the fight. We've never seen anyone try to match this against someone like KSI, who has one of the best work ethics in the scene and is known to have a great engine that could last over the fight. But Dillon and KSI do seem to have a fairly similar style. They're both front foot fighters who are looking to wear down their opponents with a mix of body and head combinations, with one stark contrast being the intention behind what KSI throws. While Dillon seems to be a more calculated and level-headed fighter who doesn't necessarily put his all into every shot, KSI always throws with deliberate intention and punches to rip his opponent's head off. It is definitely going to be interesting to see how KSI will be able to handle a very unconventional boxer in Dillon Danis, with most people counting Dillon out from the jump due to his loudmouth and little boxing pedigree, but that could also be seen as a disadvantage for KSI. In the times he's shown up the most, such as his fight against Joe Weller and rematch against Logan Paul, KSI was the underdog and was not expected to come out on top, which motivated him to prove everyone wrong, which is in pretty sharp contrast to his fight against Dillon Danis, where he is the clear favorite. Everyone's saying he's going to win, and this could result in him overlooking and possibly even underestimating the opponent put in front of him, which could potentially wrap him up into some serious trouble if he's not careful. And I know some of you may say that this was also the case for his last 2 opponents, but they never really stood a chance regardless, as they were practically put in there to lose, which Dillon seems to be coming in there with a confident and winner's mentality, having never lost a fight before. The mind games are also something to consider in this fight, as KSI and Dillon Danis have had some pretty serious back and forth ahead of this fight, with some personal digs at each other's moms, and Dillon just overall trolling KSI for the last couple of months. It's going to be interesting to see which one of these guys is going to get humbled. But while KSI is still the clear favorite in this one with his superior dedication to the sport of boxing, and being the faster, sharper, and more powerful fighter based off the eye test, it will be interesting to see if Dillon could potentially halt KSI's plans for an emphatic finish to put a statement out there to the likes of Jake Paul. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on whether Dillon will well and truly shock the world. But yeah, that's it for this video. It's the first one I'm ever doing like this, and if you like what you saw, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more. And if you're interested in more YouTube boxing content like this, check out Punch Plan, where we cover and report on all the latest news and updates in the scene. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.